Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be diving into a future that's going to be, completely reshaped by AI agents. Billions of them.
Wow.
And we're talking way beyond like your simple chatbots here. I was watching this expert on YouTube, and they were saying that, this isn't just some, sci-fi fantasy. This is like right around the corner. And what's crazy is that these AI agents could totally like revolutionize everything. Economics, innovation, even like what it means to be intelligent.
Yeah, it's definitely a fascinating new frontier we're stepping into.
Totally. And so this expert I was mentioning, they actually laid out like 5 really interesting predictions about what this whole AI agent future is going to look like. So first up, get ready to be completely surrounded by billions of these AI agents.
Yeah.
And like I was saying before, this isn't some, distant future. We're talking like maybe a few years from now.
And these agents aren't just going to be, passively sitting there. They're going to be actively working for us. Individuals, businesses, governments, you name it.
Wow. Okay, so that's prediction number 1. Now get this, prediction number 2 is even wilder. We're going to see an explosion of data centers, like thousands of them, just popping up everywhere to keep up with all these AI agents.
Exactly. And all those AI agents are going to need a ton of computing power and energy. We're talking about a scale of infrastructure we've never even come close to before.
Wow. It makes you wonder what's that going to do to our energy grids. Okay, you ready for prediction number 3? This one's huge. This expert is saying that the AI models themselves, like the brains behind all of this, they're about to become way more accessible. Like imagine cheap open source AI. Almost like the Python of AI, if you will.
I like that Python of AI.
Right.
Yeah, and just imagine what that could unlock. Right now, companies like OpenAI, their most advanced models are completely under wraps. But what if the fundamental building blocks of those models became available to everyone?
Yeah, then anybody could create their own AI-powered tools and services.
Exactly. It would be a complete game changer for innovation. We could see small startups and even individual developers going head-to-head with these big tech companies.
It would completely level the playing field.
Yeah.
Okay, on to prediction number 4. This one is interesting because it really shows how much we still don't know. This expert is saying that the really groundbreaking stuff isn't going to be in the AI models themselves. It's going to be in how we actually use them. They call it the architecture, the systems and frameworks that are going to be controlling all of these AI agents.
It's a good point. It's like having the most powerful engine in the world. It's impressive by itself, but it's useless if you don't have a well-designed car to actually harness all that power.
Right. It's the same thing with AI. So the real innovation, the real challenge is going to be figuring out how to manage all of these billions of AI agents.
Precisely. It's about designing systems that can handle their interactions, make sure they're actually working towards the same goals, and prevent any kind of unintended consequences. And that is not going to be easy.
I bet. And finally, the prediction that really blew my mind. The emergence of these AI marketplaces. So picture this, a dedicated digital space where all these AI agents can connect, share information, and even develop new products and services. I mean, come on, how crazy is that?
It's a mind-blowing concept if you really think about it. Imagine a world where AI agents are constantly trading information services, even access to their own unique capabilities. It's going to be incredible.
It's like we're talking about a whole new internet here. But instead of, people sharing memes and arguing about politics, it's AI agents making deals and innovating at like warp speed.
Yeah, and it really makes you wonder what happens when these AI agents start thinking faster than we can. I mean, the speed at which they can analyze data, pick out patterns, and make connections, it could be unlike anything we've ever seen.
Okay, so let's bring this back down to earth for a minute. How would these AI marketplaces actually work in real life? Because this expert actually gave a really cool example about the real estate market.
Oh yeah, so imagine for a second that AI agents are the ones out there looking at properties. They're analyzing all the market trends. They're even negotiating the deals.
So I could be like sitting on the beach somewhere, sipping a margarita.
Yeah.
And my AI agent is out there closing deals for me. Sign me up. But seriously though, would that actually make things better?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, on the one hand, you could definitely argue that AI agents, since they don't have emotions or biases, they might be able to make more logical decisions, leading to fairer prices and a more efficient market overall.
Okay, but on the other hand...
there's always the risk that these algorithms could end up inheriting some of the biases that are already present in the data, which could lead to like new forms of discrimination. It's something we're going to have to be really careful about.
So it's not just about building these AI agents, it's about making sure that they're actually working for everyone in a way that's fair and equitable.
Exactly. And that brings up another really important aspect of these AI marketplaces, security and trust. I mean, we're talking about agents that could potentially be handling really sensitive data and making decisions with huge consequences.
And that's where blockchain comes in, right? The expert I was watching, they mentioned it as a way to like build trust in this AI-driven world.
Exactly. Blockchain is perfect for this because it's decentralized and transparent, which makes it ideal for securing transactions and making sure that the data within these marketplaces can't be messed with. Think of it like a digital ledger that everyone can see and check for themselves. It's virtually impossible to tamper with.
So no more shady deals going on behind closed doors. Everything's out in the open.
In theory, yes. Of course, there are still going to be challenges, especially when it comes to things like implementation and regulation. But the potential is definitely there.
Totally. Okay, so we've got these AI agents. They're running on these incredibly powerful models. And they're all operating within these secure and transparent marketplaces. It's like we're building a whole new digital ecosystem.
And what's even more mind-blowing is that this ecosystem could actually lead to a whole new kind of intelligence.
Wait, are we talking about like the singularity here? Because that usually doesn't end well in the movies.
Not quite. The singularity is a whole other can of worms. We can talk about that another time. But this is about something a bit different. This expert called it decentralized intelligence.
Okay, I'm listening. What is that?
So picture this massive network of AI agents, each one with its own unique set of abilities and knowledge, and they're all constantly interacting and learning from each other.
So instead of like one giant AI brain, it's more like a network of smaller brains all working together.
Exactly. Each agent brings something unique to the table. And through all of these interactions, all of this back and forth, a new kind of intelligence could emerge, something that's even greater than the sum of its parts.
I kind of get it. It's like how a single ant might not seem that smart on its own, but a whole colony of ants can do some pretty incredible things.
Yeah, perfect analogy. And just like an ant colony, this decentralized intelligence would be super adaptable and resilient because there's no single point of failure.
So instead of being afraid of some kind of AI overlord, we should be thinking about how to use this collective intelligence for good.
Exactly. It has the potential to help us solve some of the biggest challenges humanity is facing. Climate change, disease, you name it. But of course, anything this powerful is going to come with its own set of risks and ethical dilemmas.
For sure. Like with anything else, it all comes down to how we decide to use it.
Yeah.
And speaking of ethical dilemmas, what about this whole idea of making AI models open source? That's got to come with some serious risks too, right?
Absolutely. Giving everyone access to these incredibly powerful tools is amazing in theory, but it also means that someone could use them to do harmful things. Imagine someone using these models to create fake news, spread misinformation, or even develop autonomous weapons.
It's like giving everyone a toolbox full of power tools without any instructions or safety warnings.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to be having these conversations right now. We need to figure out some ethical guidelines and regulations before these technologies get too far ahead of us.
Because once that genie's out of the bottle,
there's no putting it back in.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. AI agents revolutionizing everything from real estate to what it means to be intelligent. But before we get too caught up in this whole utopian or maybe dystopian future, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Or should I say the data center in the room?
Right. We can't forget about that explosion of data centers we were talking about earlier. All of that comes with its own set of challenges.
Yeah, we can't just ignore the potential impact this is all going to have on the environment. All that computing power requires energy.
Exactly. These data centers use a ton of energy, and if we're not careful, this whole AI revolution could end up making climate change even worse.
So what can we do about it? Do we need to completely rethink how we use energy?
That's definitely part of it. But there are also a lot of people working on making data centers more energy efficient, like using renewable energy and finding ways to make their cooling systems more sustainable.
It's like we're trying to build a rocket ship to the future. But we're also trying to figure out how to fuel it in a way that won't destroy the planet.
That's a great way to put it. And it highlights something really important. This AI revolution isn't just a technological challenge, it's a societal challenge. We need to be thinking about the ethical, environmental, and economic implications of all of this, not just the cool factor.
Because the future isn't something that just happens to us, it's something we create.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the choices we make today are going to determine what that future looks like.
I know, right? It's a lot to take in, that's for sure. On the one hand, we've got this incredible future ahead of us, where AI could help us solve all these problems we face. But then on the other hand, there are all these big questions. We talked about energy consumption and ethics, and like, what even is intelligence anyway? It's exciting and kind of scary at the same time, don't you think?
Definitely. It's like a pivotal moment in time. The choices we make right now, the conversations we're having, they're going to shape how this technology unfolds for generations to come.
So where do we even begin?
I think the first step is pretty simple. Stay informed and stay engaged. The more people understand about this technology, the better prepared we'll all be to deal with the challenges and the opportunities that come with it.
Right. Knowledge is power.
Exactly. And it's not just about understanding the technical stuff. It's about having these important conversations about ethics and the impact this will have on society.
We don't want to just be swept along by this wave of technology. We want to help shape what the future looks like.
Exactly. Which brings us back to something the expert said that really stuck with me. What happens when AI gets so smart that the agents are spending more time talking to each other than they are to us?
Okay. Yeah. That's kind of a chilling thought. Are we about to make ourselves obsolete?
It's a possibility, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Imagine AI taking over all the complex problem-solving in the world, leaving us humans free to focus on things like creativity and relationships and exploring new ideas.
So instead of trying to compete with AI, we need to find ways to work with it.
Exactly. We each bring different skills to the table. Humans are great at intuition and empathy and thinking outside the box. AI is great at data analysis and recognizing patterns and making lightning-fast calculations.
It's like what they say. If you can't beat them, join them.
Right. But in this case, it's more like, if you can't beat them, team up with them.
Well said. Well, it seems like this deep dive has left us with more questions than answers. But hey, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe the most important takeaway here is to stay curious. Keep asking the tough questions and approach this AI-powered future with a healthy dose of cautious optimism and critical thinking. What do you think?
I think that's a perfect way to sum it up. The future of AI is not set in stone. It's something we're creating right now. And by having these conversations, by challenging assumptions and asking the hard questions, we can help make sure that it's a future that benefits everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. A huge thanks to our expert for walking us through this fascinating topic. And to you, our listeners, thanks for tuning in. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and as always, keep those minds curious. We'll see you next time.